If you brought up a transcript of all my classic Doctor Who reviews, more than likely, the word I've used most of all would have to be the word finally. And you're going to be hearing it a lot in this video too, because finally, the Abominable Snowmen animation has released in New Zealand, so I can finally review it. I'm back, baby. Finally. Please excuse the awful lighting. If you couldn't tell, I'm really excited to get this review train back on the track, so I can't be bothered waiting another few days for there to be sunshine. At the end of my Tomb of the Cybermen review, I joked that it would be like Christmas time by the time this finally came out, and that was August 26th. It is November now. So not quite Christmas, but still a heck of a long wait. Man, I've missed this. Okay, if you want to dive right on into the main part of this review, then I recommend skipping to this point here because I'm going to fill you in over the events of the last couple of months. So completely coincidentally, the week the Abominable Snowman animation was set to release was the next classic Doctor Who review that was due. So I reviewed Tomb of the Cybermen, you know, started season 5, and the very next week is when the animation DVD came out. So I was like, sweet, perfect timing. I can, you know, review one, buy the other one, review that one. Keep on going with the reviews as planned. Well, it turns out that September the 5th release was just the UK-only release date. And considering that we had still been waiting for ages for the Colin Baker Blu-ray collection that came out in the UK ages ago, like, I figured it would be a long time before I could get my hands on it. Didn't realise it would be this long, though. I was working a full-time job at the time, as well as my part-time job, so at least I had a lot to keep me busy. Kicked that terrible one to the curb not too long ago. +1 mental health, -5 financial stability. Anyways, I did consider pre-ordering that steelbook. The basic design didn't appeal to me initially, but quickly grew on me the more I saw people post it online. But much like the Evil of the Daleks steelbook, $100 to get it imported from Zavi is just not worth it. So I proceeded to wait. And I waited. And waited some more. I picked up that season 22 box set. Very cool. I used my last big paycheck to catch up on all the other Blu-ray collections I'd missed out on, bar one. I will complete you, Tom Baker. Fast forward about a month to the start of October. After not being on Facebook for a couple of days, I decided to open the app one evening and was met with the most soul-crushing post on the Doctor Who DVD and Blu-ray collectors page. Someone living just outside the city I live in had ordered that steelbook from Zavi, and it took a month to arrive, but when it finally arrived, he received 2 copies, and this generous bloke was offering to just give one away for free. And it was posted 2 days before I saw it, so I missed out. Even thinking about it now, just, it haunts me. Because that would have been perfect! I could have got my hands on that cool steelbook that I wanted but couldn't justify the price for. I would have given him a fair price for it as well, so he would have got a bit of money. I would have gotten this thing and been able to resume my classic Doctor Who review series that I was dying to get back to and have an awesome story to tell. But I missed out. I can only hope that the person that did get it appreciates the generosity and treasures it forever. Alright kids, I guess the lesson of the day is go on social media more often. No, there's a terrible moral to the story. Well, at least it arrived in JB Hi-Fi 2 days before New Zealand release, so if you pre-ordered it online, sucks to be you, I guess. Seeing this on store shelves the day before it was supposed to be released, I mean, that made my day. As for personal stuff, real quick, I left that full-time job. That was terrible. Like I said, I'm a lot happier now. I'm really excited to be back doing these reviews, seeing as I have a lot more free time. Oh, and modern Doctor Who finally gave me a reason to maybe give it another shot after stopping after season 9, because watching that 13th Doctor regeneration without having it spoiled for me beforehand was the most amazing television moment of the year. Yes, really. Now that's saying something. Seriously, we had literally just finished watching the season finale of House of the Dragon. I immediately opened YouTube and decided to watch this. And my jaw was on the floor. I was like, what? I shouted so loud. I think I blew my friend's eardrums. Sorry, dude. Right, now, with all that being said and done, is this 6-part animation recreation of a lost 1967 serial worth the 2-month wait? Heck no. But I didn't even think it would. I barely saw any hype around this release, aside from the fact that it could possibly be the last animated release. Although, with the news that Disney has picked up some kind of distribution rights for Doctor Who, maybe that could lead to something in the future. Here's hoping. Man, can you imagine Disney money being spent on Doctor Who animations? Heck yeah! Maybe give it the love it deserves. Cancel the Season 2 William Hartnell release, we're animating The Crusade. Although, nothing could save that boring story. I'm rambling at this point. Alright, The Abominable Snowman. It's alright. Seems like another example of a story that's suited to a 4-part being stretched out to a 6-parter, because man does it drag sometimes. Quite a lot of scenes of nothing happening on screen with a surprising lack of music to set any atmosphere. Then again, you gotta expect that with these old BBC animated remakes. You miss out on a lot of the acting nuances, facial expressions, and especially character movements. Not everything can be perfect like my precious Macroterra DVD. This time around, the animation is a little more detailed with some seriously beautiful real-world backdrops, but still with that uncanny staccato-like movement. Don't even get me started on the thick yetis. There was also the choice to give characters thicker black outlines around their features, which I know some people like that style, but for me it reminded me a bit too much of Archer, and I'd rather not think of Archer while watching Doctor Who, so, you know, don't remind me of that if it can be helped. Alright, that's my traditional animation drill over and done with. The story itself is alright. It seems quite convoluted at first, at least for like a first time viewing. Like, it seems like they had to just formulate some random events to occur in order to pad out the runtime. Like, for instance, the Doctor immediately getting incarcerated for an episode or two and then released. Just didn't really add anything or go anywhere. And it brought back that damn annoying flute. Anyway, with that out of the way, we settle into the crux of the plot. A plot that involves rolling metal balls, tiny pyramids, hypnosis, and robotic yetis, the designs of which are very... I don't actually know. There was a tiny controversy, and by that I mean just a small minority of people voicing their displeasure at the change in the animation from the original TV design, which, I mean, to me they just seem to get rid of any facial features and just make them more hairy. I don't know. Maybe I'm a bit out of practice, but I don't really know how to explain this plot. Not that it was bad, but there was a lot going on, and yet it was still remarkably well self-contained. So I'll just paraphrase the back of the box. The Doctor, Jamie and Victoria visit a Tibetan monastery, only to discover that the local Yetis have gone a bit savage and killed a bunch of people. So it's up to the Doctor and co to help the monks get to the bottom of who's really controlling them. Good old mystery to solve. At least this time they wait a couple of episodes before just telling the audience who's responsible, so we don't have to wait the entire runtime for the Doctor to figure it out. That was appreciated. Oh, sorry if I spoiled that the Yeti were robots. It is a perfectly serviceable bunch of episodes. Fairly entertaining, as long as you're well rested beforehand. Yes, that might just mean that I fell asleep partway through episode 3. My bad. That seems to be a trend at this point. I keep falling asleep during 6-parters. Don't judge me, I'm a tired man. What I really think is cool, and spoiler alert for what's revealed to be responsible for the evil goings-on around the monastery, but this is the first time the Great Intelligence appears in Doctor Who. Well, I say appears, you know, it's not a physical form, more of a consciousness, like the Nestene consciousness. Actually, no, because you do see that one in the first episode of the 2005 revival, so, bad example. But it is pretty... Gosh darn it, Imagine Dragons, you don't need to give people more reasons to hate you. I found a random Scream 5 poster as well. Does anyone want that? It's a good movie. Anyway, as I was trying to say, it's pretty cool to witness a baddie that I know shows up in the future in their first appearance in Classic Who. There are a few highs and lows. An example of something that really doesn't work thanks to the basic animation is any scene involving any kind of action looks awful. Like, there's 1 or 2 light scuffles between humans and the Yeti, and it just looks terrible. Awkwardly grabbing each other without much movement, or lightly bonking them on the head. If I had the clip to show you, I would, but good luck getting any of this animation on YouTube without a copyright claim. Seriously, they are cracking down hard on these animated releases. Meanwhile, a few great positives are the very occasional hilarious moments. The tone of the serial, for the most part, is pretty serious, but thankfully it starts out on a quite jovial note, with the Doctor being apprehensive and afraid of Jamie's obsession with trying to fix a set of bagpipes. Like, oh, no, Jamie, which, you know, that's rich coming from you, Doctor, and your equal obsession with that stupid, annoying flute. I actually cracked up laughing at a few one-liners that caught me so off guard. My favourite of which being when confronted with Yeti guarding the TARDIS, Jamie asks the Doctor, "What are you going to do?" To which the Doctor responds, "We're going to bung a rock at it." And he bungs a frickin' rock at it. Oh, it's great stuff. Oh, and of course, everybody knows this iconic moment.
Hey, Doctor, if you really want to capture one of these beasties, I think I have an idea that might just work.
Victoria?
Eh?
Victoria, I think this is one of those instances where discretion is the better part of valor. Jamie has an idea. Come along.
Something else I thought that was really good was the ultimate conclusion. So often Doctor Who stories will have a weak final confrontation, or worse, just abruptly ends. If I remember correctly, I think Keys and Marinus did that, where it was like building up to this ultimate confrontation with this big machine or whatever, and I think in like the span of 30 seconds they're like, oh sweet, it's destroyed, bye everyone. Thankfully, the Abominable Snowman doesn't have that problem. Nope, safe to say this is one heck of an awesome climax. Surely the animation added a lot of visual flair, because I can't see them getting away with doing these kind of effects back in the 60s. But man, it was cool. Not too over the top to be silly, it's just right. For all the praise I give the Macrotera, that's an example of the other way around, where they added a lot of visual flair to the big krebs when it was too quiet, like you could tell there wasn't actually anything going on in the original recording. And that brings us to the end. Any final thoughts? Of course. This is me we're talking about. I ramble off about anything. Yes, actually. Final thoughts, or a couple of notes. The actress who plays Victoria, Deborah Watling, I think it's how you pronounce her name, her father was in the serial. So they got to work together, and that was pretty cool. Apparently he comes back in like the pseudo follow-up to this, The Web of Fear, and also another like non-canon spin-off like in the 90s or something. Good for him. Also, the main special feature on Disc 3... Oh yeah, I didn't touch on this. Yeah, it's like all the other modern releases. You know, Disc 1 is black and white, you know, smaller screen presentation. Disc 2 is the full colour, and then Disc 3 is a telesnap, and Discs 1 and 2 have the black and white original surviving episode 2. So, you know, there's all that information out the way for you. But the main special feature of Disc 3 is a making-of documentary made in modern day with heavy involvement from Fraser Hines. Fraser Hines, of course, playing Jamie in classic Doctor Who. I wasn't gonna watch it, but after pressing play, I couldn't stop. It was a really heartwarming mini-documentary with archival footage and interviews and going into positive vibes on the set and the beautiful filming locations and just like the fun energy the director would bring on set. A major far cry from almost all of the first Doctor behind-the-scenes making-of documentaries, which all pretty much went, "Ah, yes, it was a miserable time, the director clashed with actors, Bill was an absolute nightmare to work with, but ultimately we had a great time. Ha ha ha." Well, that was a great little practice review to get me back into the swing of things. And a massive thank you and shout out to the 2 or 3 people that were genuinely excited to see me return and do these reviews again. You know who you are, and I love you for it. Next time we'll be introduced to another one of my favourite Doctor Who villains, the Ice Warriors, and their first ever appearance, the Ice Warriors. Very creative title. Yeah, okay. Thank you all so much for watching. It's great to be back. Tune in next time. Oh, man, I love doing these reviews.